how important this was until I started trying to hire salespeople. And I told you, I didn't come into this industry knowing what the heck I was doing. I mean, I was literally bartending months before. I'm Jason Feldman. This is another playbook. I don't even know what number this is. I think it's number 7 in this sales process for a winning P&C insurance agency. We are now on the 3rd part of the sales script. I wish I could just write it for you and say, hey, just say this. But since every state's different, this is where it gets a little complicated. But I'm going to give you the frameworks to follow to write the perfect sales script. And this is it. So we talked about the opener, all the ways to keep the people on the phone, because if you're investing in the leads, you want the biggest shot for your team to actually get the quote out of the lead so you can get the sale. And then we talked about the connection. Now we're gonna get into the proposal. And this part's so important because this is where you can sound like the doctor of insurance, or you can sound like some clown off the street. I never realized how important this was until I started trying to hire salespeople. And I told you, I didn't come into this industry knowing what the heck I was doing. I mean, I was literally bartending months before. So I knew people in general. I knew nothing about hand-to-hand combat and sales. But when I started hiring sales agents, I was shocked. I started asking them, hey, here's some coverages, what's your sales pitch? And they would be all over the map. I would ask them, here are the auto coverages, sell me this. And they would be all over the place. These are people that have been in the industry for 5, 10, 15 years, and their sales process, it was the worst thing ever. And I'm like, dude, if you're doing this every single day for 15 years and you sound like you've never done this before, what's really going on? That is when I realized, like, having this kind of process, your own sales process, is so important. Don't leave the fate of you and your agency up to other people's experience. That is crazy to me. Let's get into the proposal. We want to sound like the doctor of insurance. Those people were all over the place. We ended up really developing this, and we got to a point where we wouldn't hire anybody that had experience in other agencies because it was really hard to untrain them. Ask them is things like, how did you come up with your coverages? When was the last time you reviewed these coverages? We always want to ask questions where it's like, we kind of know the answer so we can kind of direct the conversation in the right direction. We are going to get into the what, how, story tie-down example. And this is the way we like to approach the coverages. And the reason why we came up with this method is because a lot of times agents talk in the babbly lingo of coverages, kind of like how it is on the policy, like 1530. This is 1537. To the normal person, they're like, I don't care. I don't know what you're talking about, right? But they're never gonna say that. They're just gonna be like, oh, okay. It doesn't mean anything to them. So we wanna make this mean something to them. So we have to talk into a lower level. We have to talk into like, kind of like a 3rd grade level. I think that they said like most of the presidents over the last, I don't know, 20 years spoke at like a 5th grade level or something like that, the ones that won. And it's because of this. It's because when you're talking a lot about something that might be complicated or it's gonna be long. You want people to follow along. And dude, I have ADHD. So me following along ain't gonna happen unless it's simple. We're trying to do what would be best for the masses, not what's best for you. Who cares? We're not trying to give a policy to you. We're trying to give it to the person that we're speaking to. And since everybody's so different, we want to do what will give us the best chance of selling the policy like we talked about before. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start getting into these coverages and we're gonna talk about the what. The what is the coverage. Bodily injury, 1530. That's what this is. You're gonna say this pays out to this and this event, and that's what it is. And you're gonna give them a story. Let's say you and your daughter, we know her name by there, let's say Sally. Sally, she's right there in the back seat, right? And boom, and we get into this car accident, God forbid, but like she smashes her face on the back of the car and has to go to the hospital, blah, 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 right? We want to kind of paint this story. So if we go to the what, and then we go to the how, and we do the how this works is, we're gonna help them paint the story for them so that they don't have to come up with an image. And we're gonna tell this story about what happened, right? And if somebody's just talking at you, you're gonna tune out, right? So at this point, we're gonna wanna do a tie down. If this happens, you would only be covered for blank amount. Who do you think would have to pay the rest of that? You want them to answer. You wanna give them to buy back into the conversation, to kind of pull them in, and then they can answer, right? Who do you think's gonna pay the rest? That's you that's gonna have to pay it. If it's a benefit, then you can say, doesn't that sound awesome? Isn't that great? You wanna elicit something from them. And you usually want, if you're gonna use a tie down where it's like coverage or benefit that sounds awesome, you're gonna wanna go into the positive. You want them to start saying yeses. You wanna get them kind of nodding like, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that fantastic? Don't you think your family deserves that? You want them to start saying, yeah, Yeah, my family does deserve that. Especially since we're building this proposal and we're building it in the way that we're actually gonna ask them to buy. Now, when I say that, you might be thinking like, oh, well, everybody asks them to buy. Most agents don't. We've worked with hundreds and hundreds of agencies, and most agency owners say, yeah, my agents do ask for it. But then we find out they don't. They need to ask for the sale. Why wait? Listen, when it comes to insurance sales, I've seen how much time is wasted on both ends and these phone calls back and forth and all this stuff. It does not bode well for either party to wait on this stuff. It doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna save them so much time by just get them to commit right there. And then when we get to the end of this, we wanna build the close. So we've already talked about all these different coverages. Now we wanna build the close. So with your new policy, you're getting 5 times the amount of bodily injury. You're getting $20,000 extra dollars of coverage here. You're getting the free windshield crack repair. And then remember, when you say that, you wanna put the story, free windshield crack repair. Let's say you're working at McDonald's, we're actually gonna come out and we're gonna fix that window while you're at work, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the benefits may be, really build those, and today it's only going to be this price. All I need is one technique that works really well is asking, what bank do you bank with? Then they'll say like Wells Fargo. Oh, that's one of our preferred banks. I actually have the routing number right here. What's your account number? Let's get this thing started. You can start getting into the objection handling, because I'm sure you're going to get there. And that's objection handling. We call it getting out of the doghouse. That's the next phase of this. At this point, we want to build all of the coverages the best we can. Like, we really want to build the close, like this crescendo. Think of like an infomercial. Build it that way so that when you give that price and you say either the banking statement or you just ask for the close or whatever you may be, that there's really not much more to say on your behalf. You've already created the most desirable policy that you could with what you've been given, right? So that's where you want to build it all, ask for the price. And then we can get into the objection handling. We're going to do this on the next call. I think you have a lot to think about. Maybe build those coverages after this call. The what, how, story, tie down method to build it, and then the build, the stack, the build, close, and then going into that definitive asking for the sales section. And that's it. That's it on the proposal.